Hey there, hey friends, Ken here, your thrifty apprentice. Happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you my suggestions for the holiday season as far as artist supplies go for either yourself or that special artist that touches your life, be it personally or in your social circle. Now, I'm not going to waste much time. I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. I have a lot of things that I would like to share with you guys. Now, I will say from the top of the video, a lot of the products I have thrown the boxes away because I have to make space to store things. So for those things that I don't have a box for, I will be sure to put a picture of what the actual box looks like on the screen when we're talking about that particular product, so that you will at least know what it looks like. In the video description, you will also find a full detailed list of all the products that I could find, as well as a link to those products. I will go ahead and say also from the top of the video that those links are affiliate links, but it doesn't cost you any extra thing to purchase them through those links. All right, so we're going to start off in the empty palette category. This category will have wooden palettes, ceramic palettes, what have you. So first up, I'm showing you this real cutie that was sent to the studio by a wonderful artist friend. He has been named Ollie. Hey, look at Ollie, he is cute. Now this is a ceramic palette. It has 7 little miniature mixing wells in it. And then you could also use Ollie's head as like a water cup, or maybe even mixing palette, whatever you choose to mix it for, or use it for, I'm sorry. But he is so adorable. He sits out on my creation table all the time just to keep me company. Now, he has been named Ollie for this studio. Ollie is not the name of the product. I will be sure to put a picture up so that you guys can see it. And there's also a link in the video description. Now, that runs about $15.86 currently on Amazon. I was sure to pull all of the list price that it would normally be listed as versus any sale price that it may be listed as currently. So all of the prices that I'm giving are normal prices. Let's move on. Next up is this really cute little ceramic bubble palette. Another item that was gifted to the studio. Or did I order this one? Can't really remember, but it is a gorgeous piece of accessory, and I've used it on so many paintings. I use so many little wells to mix so many different colors without having to worry about cleaning the palette or anything of that nature. Very cute. This currently runs about $14.21, and all of these prices were pulled from Amazon, with the exception of one item I'm going to show you. All right, next up is the portable painter palette. And I'm gonna show both of these at the same time because it comes as a bigger palette as well as a micro or a mini. So the bigger palette actually has extra pans that comes with it. I'm gonna be sure to put the box up, but it is an absolute wonderful product for someone who likes to travel and paint plein air. There are many different wells inside, and they also produce pans that'll fit inside these little slots, but you can put paint directly into the palette if you choose to. Now, I've never filled this one. I keep waiting on the right paint to put in it, but this is a gorgeous little portable compact palette. It runs about $29 on Amazon, $29-30, something like that. And it has the attachable water cups that you can actually put on the side of the palettes. Let's see. So you can put them on the side. Now, I don't know how comfortable this would be to like hold in your hand if you're out and about painting. You know, you got maybe water over here and water over here, or maybe water over here and brushes over here, something of that nature. But it's a gorgeous little palette. It's a really neat idea. And not too long after they released this one, they released the mini version, which I have already filled with paints. But the mini version has a lid that pops off. It's all plastic. The bigger one is all plastic as well. And a little mixing area with 2 wells that folds out. And inside you can get 6 paints. The tray will lift out, and each pan does come out of the palette. Same with the portable. Very compact, very cute. My paint pellets are falling out. I forget what paint that is. I think it's a student grade paint. I'm gonna have to go back and look at the video where I filled it up. But then it also has this little area on the bottom here, which can serve as a little area to put water. But I would assume that if you were out and about using this, more than likely you would be, and see, this is very compact. You can hold that one in your hand with no problem. I really love this one. I think it is so adorable. And it's just like the perfect size to kind of slide it in your pocket. You know what I mean? Really love it. This one is going for about $17.80. So I think that that is a wonderful little gift for either yourself or for that watercolor artist in your life, gouache artist in your life, because there are some gouaches now that can be penned with no problem. So I just think that's a gorgeous little gift and not too expensive at all. All right, let's move on. Last one in this category is going to be the Defiant Art Bamboo Voyager palette. Now, this is sort of a shameless plug, but this is my company, Defiant Art, first branded product. It is a bamboo palette that comes with 24 empty half pans included, 100% bamboo, very sturdy, very thick, with a strong magnetic closure that is actually allows it to have a slide closure versus a lift lid or to pull it completely off. Now, these do not come with a mixing area on the inside. I actually added that in myself just because I thought it was cute. But this currently runs $33 over on my site, defiantart.com, which you're going to find a link in the video description in case you're interested. But it's a very cute little palette, very cute. I like it, very sturdy, and I've had some really good reviews on the product. Okay, let's move on. We are moving into the watercolor category, and we're going to kind of start off maybe travel watercolors and then move into sort of studio sets, or maybe jump back and forth. And I'm really not dividing the categories of artist grade versus professional grade. I'm just going to show the products. I'll tell you what they are as I show them. All right, first up, we have the Winsor & Newton Field Pocket Set. Now, this little baby is so adorable. It's gonna come with Cotman paints already installed. You can get a professional version which has their professional paints in it as well, but there's going to be much more of a price difference. Now, this set currently runs for $22.99. You have the water cup that detaches as the lid. The palette opens this way. Inside there is a travel brush that's already installed. There's going to be a canteen for you to carry your water on the go with you. On the opposite side, you have fold-out mixing palettes. I have a little swatch card in there. And you can get quite a few paints in here. Now, I pushed more paints in there than it actually should be. There should only be 2, 4, 6, 8, 12. It comes with 12 paints in it. 12 Cotman paints. Now, I've reconfigured this, and it has both Winsor & Newton Professional as well as Cotman in it. And I did add 2 additional pans at the top to make a complete palette here. So you can get some additional pans in there if you want to. They'll feel a little tight, but they'll get in there. This is not bad for $22.99. You have your palette, and for it to have such a small footprint, it holds quite a few paints. You have your 2 mixing areas that fold in on themselves for you to close your palette. And the opposite side, and I'm sure you could probably put water, well, no, it's got that hole that's really low, so water would leak out of there. But I mean, if you just had to mix there, you could, right? Then there's the canteen that carries the water, so you'll have clean water. And then this also serves as a mixing area for you to mix on, which is really cool. You're gonna get the travel brush, which is a number, it doesn't say, it may say on the box. If I had to guess, that's probably about a number 1 or number 2, something like that. I'm gonna try to get that brush. I'm gonna wet it. Trying to get those bristles to go back together because they were a little frayed. Now, it's not the best brush in the world, and typically, it's not the worst brush either though. And typically when I'm painting on the go, I probably have a water brush anyway. So, but yeah, really cool system. Like I said, you can put water in there and mix as well to clean your brush, I mean. So, really cool system for the $22.99. Let's move on. I have a lot to show you guys. I'm taking too long on a few things. All right, next up is one of the latest little travel systems that I picked up, and I really love this. Most of this stuff, especially the paint products, pencil products, and all those things, will have reviews on the channel under the Thrifty Apprentice playlist section, the Thrifty Review playlist. So you can check out reviews on a lot of these products. This is the Phoenix Watercolor Pocket Set Classic Tone Twist Travel System. So it comes with all these little trays, right? The top one has a latch on it, or has the lid. And then each of the individual trays come apart, and then you can reconfigure it where, let me see if I can do this now. Just because I'm trying to show you, I won't be able to figure it out. But they twist. Okay, yeah. They twist together like so. So each side makes a lid, makes a connection that allows you to twist the opposite tray into it. It's so cool. And you can reconfigure it so many different ways. It's ridiculous. I have played with this thing so many times, just reconfiguring the different ways you can put it together. So I don't know if I would say once it's fully twisted together, if it would be the most convenient thing traveling with. But the idea is so cool, and I really love it. And I've painted with it once on the go, but I haven't really taken it out of the studio too much. Now, Phoenix paints, and I don't work for the company, but this is just speculation, and it's speculated amongst many different professional artists that Phoenix, this is their artist watercolor, is the equivalent to Cotman by Winsor and Newton, maybe even the same formula. So that's the Phoenix Twist palette. That palette runs $32.99 for 48 colors. That is their complete range of artist colors. So I say give it a try. That one is so cool. It will make an absolute amazing gift for someone to play with, especially if it's someone new to watercolors, just starting, you know. It would be so cool to get a gift like that. And it's not quite a stocking stuffer, but hey, you know. So moving on, friends. Next up, we have, what do we have next? The Mission Silver Compact Watercolor System. Now, this is Magello Mission Silver is the artist grade level of watercolors to their Mission Gold Professional. Now, most people know that Mission Gold Pure Pigment line of paints is my favorite professional watercolors. And I was so excited to get my hands on their artist grade. And when I tell you these paints perform so well, the quality is so good. I mean, especially in comparison to a lot of other legacy brand student paints that are on the market, these paints were not too far from the professional line when you actually compare them side by side with each other. I had absolutely no problem layering or glazing with these at all. They lift in the circumstances that I needed them to lift. You had transparent to semi-opaque colors depending on what they were. They didn't have any flocculation in it. Just really good paints. Now, this compact runs about $24.93 for 12 colors. When you think about that in comparison to the other artist grade paints that are out there on the market, these are right on par as far as price is concerned, but as far as quality goes, in my opinion, they're above par as far as a lot of other student grade paints are concerned. The only thing I don't really like is I don't really like that have the paints on both sides so that when you close it, one is upside down. And that's just a personal little gripe that I have. But outside of that, because it does that, one of them fell out. I heard it. Yep. It does that. That's why I don't like palettes like this. But for the most part, it's no problem. And they are absolutely amazing paints. All right, let's move on. Next up, we're going to look at a professional one. And this is also a little kind of travel system. This is the Hordam and Schminke Company professional line of watercolor paints. This is their retro bijou box. So it's this really cute little palette. Now I've put some more paints in here. It doesn't come with the 4 down the middle. It just comes with 8 colors. But I put 4 more, and those 4 are from the actual Schminke Academy line. And I did that in order to form a full 12 palette. 12 half pan little mini travel palette. It's got the two wheels up here to mix hard, very nicely constructed metal. Gorgeous little box. Got the thumb ring on the bottom. But friends, I'm gonna tell you now, this one is a gift, okay? This one is a gift. Here's a little box that it comes in. This one is a gift because this little set with the 8 paints and the little Bijou travel box is about 79 bucks. It's about 79 bucks, friends. But it's a wonderful little luxury sort of item, and the paints are absolutely gorgeous. I'm a big fan of Schmincke. I'm actually much more a fan of Schmincke paints than I am of Sennelier, but that's just me. That's just a personal thing. And it's not to say Sennelier isn't beautiful, because they are absolutely gorgeous paints. Moving on, looking at a pretty unique item, if I can put my hands on it. Here we have the Creator Color. Now this is by a company called Creative, marked as a house brand of Jerry's Autorama, which is a big box fine art supply store. This house brand has a line known as Creator Color, and Creator Color released this 10 aqua brick set. Now, when I first got this, I was like, what is this? What are these? But when I tell you, this are amazing water soluble. They're like paints that you could pick up. You can actually draw with them, write with them, color with them, disperse that with water, or you can use it as a half pan and paint directly from the little cake of color. Now these are pigment based. Don't believe that there were pigment numbers included in the set. I can't quite remember, but they are some of the most vibrant, beautiful, saturated, water soluble paints I've used. Very unique concept. This is a sponge. Very unique concept. And the white was really opaque, I remember it being. As you can see, I've used them a bit because I really did like them. It was a very unique idea and concept. I think it will be a really cute gift for that kind of quirky artist in your life. And those run about $28.10. You can snag them off Amazon. That's about on par with what you would pay for them from Jerry's directly. So $28.10. Pretty cool product. You might want to give those a try yourself. I really recommend them. They're super cool. Next up, we're going to look at a watercolor set. Now, this is one of my favorite artist watercolors. This is the Artwell 24 half pan set. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that this is about $21.59, somewhere in the $22 range on a regular basis. It is my belief that these paints are white labeled by the Chinese paint manufacturer Superior. If you're familiar with the fan style palettes, then you're familiar with Superior paint, okay? Now, on a regular basis, this would be the student grade set that I would recommend for someone who was looking to just start their journey, alongside the Pretty Excellent paints and alongside the Paul Rubens Kwame or Chame paints, one or the other. We'll look at them in a second because they're in this list. So this is 24 half pans. Really good paints. They work well. Like I said, if you've used the fan palettes, then you'll be familiar with these. I do believe that the quality is just a tad bit different, but really good run-of-the-mill artist grade paints that you'll be able to paint a lot of different projects with. It's not going to break the bank, and it's not going to run a new artist off. So those are definitely on my suggestion list if you're looking for, or if you just want to give them a try, because Artwell makes nice quality products. We're actually going to end up looking at some of their gouache a little later on down the line as well. In that same breath, we're going to turn to the Artwell 24 tube set. Now, this, again, I believe is Superior Masters line of paint that has been white labeled and rebranded. Look at this. Look at these tubes. You get an enormous amount of paint. You're going to get 15 milliliter tubes. And yeah, it looks kiddish, but I promise you the paint is not at all. As a matter of fact, I prefer the tubes over the pans. I will let you know that the formula of the tube does cause them to crack if you let them dry down in a half pan, some of them anyway. So, but you can offset that by adding just a little drop of glycerin to your half pan and mix it as you let them dry down. Amazing paint. Amazing paint. 24 15 milliliter tubes. It's going to run you about $35.99. It's a little bit more than a 24 half pan set, but you're going to get much more paint here, number one. And number two, I think the quality of the tubes is a little bit better, just a little bit better than the quality of the half pans, although it's my speculation they're produced by the same factory. So that's Artwell. No matter which way you go, you won't be going wrong. But I do personally like the tubes a little bit more than a half pan. All right, let's keep kicking here. Next up, we have professional watercolors, and these are some watercolors that I just recently tried and did a review on. This is the Da Vinci professional watercolor line. Now again, for all of these that I don't have the packaging for anymore, I'm going to be putting pictures up on the screen. But this is a really nice, what I consider like entry-level professional brand of paints. They're what I call a workhorse because they'll work for so many different scenarios. You can paint so many different types of things with these, and I think they work well in like a teaching setting because they're really affordable for a professional paint, but the quality is definitely that of a professional brand. So you can't go wrong with buying them, which is why I say they work really great in like a teaching setting. Now, I ordered mine as a mixing set. I ordered 3 colors open stock. Let's see, I ordered those 3 separate. So the mixing set came with 6 colors. A cool and a warm yellow, cool and a warm red, cool and a warm blue. This set runs about $35, if I'm not mistaken. $35, $36 is what I paid for it. For some reason, I forgot to write the price of that particular one down. But if I'm not mistaken, that was about the price of it. And then I ordered these separately. And for them to be, what are these? 15 milliliter tubes, I believe. Yes, 15 milliliter tubes. They were really affordable, no more than about $6, $7, $8 a piece. And then I ordered this really big one, which is a 37 milliliter tube of paint, and it still only ran me about $12. So in the realm of professional paints, these are some of the most affordable ones. And if it matters to you, they're an American-made brand. So that in itself makes a lot of difference to some people. So friends, definitely a professional paint that I recommend. Would make a wonderful gift for yourself or for an artist in your life. Okay, last thing we're going to look at in the paint category is going to be the Mission Gold Pure Pigment. Now these are, well, this is not the last one, we got one more to go. But next to last, this is the Mission Gold Pure Pigment. Now, this is more than the pure pigment, is it? No, this is just the pure pigment set. A lot of paint. First of all, this is my favorite professional line. They are super clean, super transparent, super bright. There's not a huge shift from wet to dry. They really layer well. I will say they do have a higher staining rate than some other professional paints, and some would argue that they use in their regular line, which comes in tubes like this. One would argue that they use questionable pigments. However, in their pure pigment line, each paint is of a pure single pigment. So you're getting 24 pure pigment, and then they come in different sets. You can get bigger ranges. I'm just talking about this one particular set. Now, I do have to say that this is another one that is more of that luxury buy. This is one that you're going to get yourself because you are trying to get you a really nice professional paint. You want to make sure that each one is single pigment. If artist information and artist quality matter to you, because this set is about $83.80. But you are getting 15 milliliter tubes of pure pigment paint, 24 of them. Well, this particular set. As I said, you can get the sets and you can get these paints in a bigger number set. But not bad. Number one on my list. If it's something that you would want to bite the bullet and get yourself, I say go for it. Again, they are my favorite professional line of paints, and I absolutely love Mission Gold Pure Pigments. And last but not least, and let me say that I understand that there are many other brands of watercolors and different levels of products that are really good that you guys might not see listed in this video, but these just happen to be the ones that are here in the studio that I have reviews for. that I think are really good quality. And like I said, for the most part, 95% of them won't break the pocket at all. So I do understand that there are many other great products out there on the market under many different brand names. Last up in the watercolor category, we're looking at Paul Rubens Quomei, or maybe it's Chow Mei, but it's spelled Qiaomei. And this is probably one of the better brands, better quality artist grade paints I've ever used. Now, up until I tried these, again, my go-to recommendation would have been either the Pretty Excellent paints by Miliang or the 24 half pan set from Artwell. And then I tried these. These are some of the most bright and vibrant, transparent, non-filler filled student grade paints I've ever used. I definitely think that they are better than Pretty Excellent. That's just my opinion, but I really do, especially when you swatch them out side by side. Now, I do believe that the Pretty Excellent paints are produced in the same factory as this particular set. Although they are of a different formulation, there's no doubt in my mind about that. They do share a lot of similarities to those paints. I just feel like these are a little bit cleaner, a tad bit better quality than the Pretty Excellent paints are. Now you're gonna get 24 of these in a box, which you'll see the picture listed. These tubes are, most of this is in Chinese. These are 12 milliliter tubes, 24 of them, and you're going to be paying $35.99. But for the amount of paint that you're getting in, for the quality of paint that you're getting, I think it's worth it. If you were to purchase the Miliang regular 36 half pan set, it runs you somewhere around $20, give or take, on a regular basis. If you jump up to the bigger sets, they can run anywhere between $25 and $30. If you purchase the full tube set of Miliang paints, which is 36, it runs about $35, $36. Here you're going to get 24 12 milliliter tubes versus Miliang giving you 36 5 milliliter tubes, and this is running in the ballpark of $35.99, and plus I think they're better quality. So this would definitely be my recommendation over the Miliang Pretty Excellent paints, well actually even over the Artwell, although any of those three would be great places to start. So for $35.99, I think that they are well worth the buy. Okay, friends, that wraps up the watercolor category, so watercolor paint category anyway. So now we're going to be moving on to watercolor pencils. First up, we have Staedtler Carrot Aquarelle. This is a 24 count pencil set that comes in a tin. I do believe Staedtler is a German company, if I'm not mistaken. They may be somewhere on the same equivalent as like a Royal and Langnickel maybe in Germany, and that may be a very crude comparison, but this is their Carrot Aquarelle line, and I've noticed that the Carrot line of products are the ones that seemingly tend to target your more professional range of artists. Now these are considered a professional watercolor pencil, and they are absolutely gorgeous in their performance. I was so impressed and highly pleased with these pencils that they definitely fall at the top of, as you can see, I was using them quite a bit. Here are some of the color mixing that I did with them. Here is a color chart for the complete range of pencils. I put this color chart together using the stamp set from Paint Crush, the swatching stamp set from Paint Crush by Christy Rice. Gorgeous stamp set, by the way. They are not listed in here, but as a side note, honorable mention, the stamp set by Paint Crush, Christy Rice, is an amazing addition to any artist collection, especially if you like to swatch out your different paints and gouaches and pencils and things like that. And I think it's like 32 bucks. But anyway, this is the Carrot Aquarelle set. Very mixable, bright, bold. They reactivate, or should I say they activate with water super easily. I mean, the slightest tap of a wet brush. And I put them on par with most of the watercolor pencils we're going to look at in this video. The truth of the matter is that the difference between the sets is really going to be based on reputation. in all honesty. Availability in your part of the world, and whether or not it's just something you ultimately want to get for yourself or for someone else. But there is not a huge difference in the quality of the watercolor pencils that I'm going to show you, because for the most part, they're all on the professional level. With that being said, this is a very stable, balanced barrel. I didn't get any damage to any of my barrels. The leads were centered and it sharpens well and it holds a point pretty well. And you can put on a pretty reasonable amount of pressure without the lead breaking. So these are definitely on my recommendation list. Now this set runs about $34.98 for the 24 pencils. And you're gonna find that price range is about standard for professional watercolor pencils in a 24 count set. So that is the Staedtler Carat Aquarelle 24 count set of watercolor pencils. Amazing product. You won't be going wrong. Not unless you get them out of Michaels, because Michaels carries them on a regular basis or carries Staedtler products on a regular basis. And the price that they charge for those products are completely ridiculous. All right, next up, we are going to be looking at Faber-Castell 24 count of Albert Dürer watercolor pencils. Now, these speak for themselves. I'm pretty sure anyone who has ever researched a watercolor pencil, especially on the professional side of things, has probably heard of this, not only this company, but this particular set of pencils. Amazing quality. Faber-Castell is known for making a really good pencil. They're known for making really great water-soluble products. I've never tried out any of their paints. I've only tried, well, I don't think, I've never tried a professional type paint from them. I don't even know if I've ever seen one. But here is the swatching chart for all of the colors. Now you can see the difference here. And see, there are nuances. The difference here is a full color barrel versus a gray barrel that had a color chip on it with the Staedtler Aquarelle pencils that we looked at. The wood here is different. I do believe that the quality of wood in the Faber-Castell barrel is a little bit better than the ones that are in the Staedtler. But when you get down to the actual pigment that's in the pencils, these are just as bright as those. These are just as dissolvable as those. I can get that out. And they are an absolutely amazing buy. And they run about $39.89 right now. So again, they're in that same price range as the Carat Aquarelle pencils we just looked at, and it's a 24 count. So that just shows you that that's $35 to $40 is standard range for a professional set of watercolor pencils in a 24 count. But yes, Faber-Castell definitely makes the list and are definitely recommended. I recommend all of the watercolor pencils, well, everything that I'm showing you in this video. But when it comes to the watercolor pencils, I don't really recommend one over the other. Any of these that you decide to go for, I think you're going to be pleased with. Next up, we have Koh-i-Noor Mondeluz. Now, this is a little bit different because this is actually, both of the ones we're about to look at are going to be a little bit different, especially when it comes to price. But this is actually a 72 count set. So you can expect to pay a little bit more because you're getting many more than 24 pencils. However, the thing about watercolor pencils are, like watercolors, you can mix them in order to make other colors. So unlike color pencils, you can have a much smaller set of watercolor pencils and pull off many more projects than you could with, say, like color pencils, which you need a lot of pencils in order to do what you may be trying to do. Now, these, like the Faber-Castell pencils, are a full color barrel. I love the wood that these are made of. They are so comfortable to hold. They smell good too. They sharpen well and held a point. I didn't experience a lot of breakage with them. Look at those beautiful saturated colors. Is that not gorgeous? Look how they all so easily dissolved with the water. You don't get any like pencil scratch or grit left behind once you actually dissolve it out. Just absolutely gorgeous. Love these. However, you are going to pay for these. Now, this particular set, which I'm not sure if you can get them in smaller sets. I've only seen the 72 count box set. And then there's a 72 count that's in a 10, which is much more than this set is. But this set comes with 72 pencils, which is on 3 separate trays. You're going to get a paintbrush per tray, and you're going to get a sharpener included inside. Yeah, 72 pencils, 3 paint brushes, and 2 pencil sharpeners. And the lids on these are 3.8 millimeters. So nice, thick leaded pencils. And this set is currently listed at $98.23. So like I said, a little bit more pricey than, but just know that if you were to get either of the previous sets that I just named, the Faber-Castell or the Stettler, in a 72 count set, they're actually going to be in the $100 range. So when you look at it that way, these are actually still on par with the price that you would expect to pay for professional pencil in the 72 count range. Think about how many more pencils you're getting there. So again, that's $98.23, and definitely on my recommendation list. Probably one of the best watercolor pencils I've ever used, and that's just my opinion. Last in the watercolor pencil category, hold on to your hats because the price on this one is going to rock you. But this is my favorite watercolor pencil, and this is the Gouache Museum Aquarelle set of 76. So you're going to get 2 Techno pencils, so you technically get 74 colors if I'm not mistaken. It comes in a 2-piece corrugated box. Everybody probably already has heard of Gouache in some shape, form, or fashion. They are known for making superior quality products. Although lately they have done some things that kind of made me raise an eyebrow at them, especially with the new release of their watercolor crayons or the new colors. But you know, that's a story for a different video. So here you have 72 absolutely gorgeous, and I love the fact that the box is constructed to protect the pencils on both the top and the bottom. But you have 74 colors, 76 pencils. 2 of them are sort of like drawing pencils, and they are absolutely beautiful. Even the trays that they're in is very substantial to make sure that it's protecting the pencil. I love that. Gorgeous colors. They dissolve so easily. You're not going to get any pencil grit left behind at all. These are also, in my opinion, a little bit less scratchy on the paper than a lot of other watercolor pencils. Sharpen well. Now these I didn't experience any breakage with any of the pencils that I tested or tried. And of course I tried several different pencils across all of the color families before I decided to do a review, which you can find on the channel. But a gorgeous pencil set. Now, this is definitely a luxury buy. This is one that you buy yourself because you feel like you've been a good boy or a good girl all year long, and you want to get yourself sort of like the flagship of watercolor pencils, because this set is currently listed on Amazon for $324. I told you, hang on to your horses. And this will be the only thing tonight that I talk about that's in that range. Yeah, so definitely a luxury buy. But in my opinion, these were, and I have to say it, these were gifted to me. I did not actually buy the pencils myself. So I feel very blessed to have received them, especially knowing how much they cost. But this is a gift item. Definitely a gift item, and a luxury gift item at that. You may be able to find them on sale. Some different places may be running sales. I did not see them on sale for Black Friday or Cyber Monday on Amazon. Gouache doesn't seem to typically participate in those site-wide sales like that. Okay, yeah, I'm starting to get tired of talking. I'm getting tongue-tied. We got a few more categories to go. So we're going to go into looking at watercolor crayons. And for this category, I'm just going to kind of show you guys everything at one time. So first up, we have, or actually the eye crayons. And I have this set sitting here for a reason. I'm going to tell you in just a second. So the eye crayons comes in 2 different sets. There's 50 colors in total. There is a Europe set, which has European-inspired colors. And then there's a classic set, which has all of your basic colors that you would typically expect. Now, just like watercolors and watercolor pencils, these will mix together like a paint in order to create new colors, different shades and tints, and all those different wonderful things. Now, if you are familiar with a watercolor crayon, then you're probably familiar with Gouache brand being probably the most popular, their Neocolor tubes. This particular brand is very affordable, very budget friendly. I think these sets run about $25, $26 a piece. You're gonna get 25 crayons in each set. They are water soluble. Now, I will say I don't think they're as water soluble as the Gouache Neocolor tubes, but they're definitely more cost effective. And another thing that I like about these is that not only will they move with water, but you can also use them sort of like an oil pastel because they're really creamy and they blend together beautifully without the use of water as well. So definitely sort of a twofer. I love anytime you can get a product that you use that has more than one use to it straight out the gate like that. So 25 colors per set. I'll show you the other set. And they do come with this little thin mixing tray in them, which is really all you need. And that even has texture there to help you pull the pigment off of the crayon. So really cool set. I think that this was an amazing find for the quality versus the price. This is the Europe set. There's a swatch sheet for it. Look at the crayons. Gorgeous, just gorgeous crayons. Very useful, cost effective. Now again, as I said, these sets run about $26 a piece. Now, if for some reason you're in the part of the world where you can't find the iCrayon brand, then maybe you can find the Sunny brand. Now, this is only a 12 count set, but this is the exact same crayon. I actually have some Gouache Neocolor tubes mixed in here as well. Mainly because you can see from the tins, they kind of emulate Gouache's Neocolor tube. And if I didn't point it out right away, you might not be able to tell the difference one crayon to the other. But you'll see there's a Sunny crayon, and that's a Gouache crayon. That's a Neocolor too. But the Sunny crayons, there's 12 of them in here, and that 12 set holds the same color equivalent to the iCrayon 12 set. So if for some reason you're in a part of the world where you can't find iCrayon, maybe you can find Sunny, and I'm gonna assume it's running about the same price because this set under the iCrayon brand on Amazon, the 12 count set is somewhere around $15, I believe. And then the Sunny set I ordered off of Temu actually, and I only paid like maybe $6 or $7 for the 12 crayons. So, you know, you have to do what's best for you. Some people don't shop on Temu, I understand that, but I just wanted to show you those. Really great crayons, definitely on my recommendation list. Last in this category, I'm gonna recommend something that is a little controversial, but ultimately I like the way the product performs. And that is the Stabilo Woody 3-in-1. And I debated really long about putting these on the recommendation list. And let me tell you why. Because I discovered after testing and reviewing myself and watching other reviews being done by other artists that the Woody 3-in-1 is a 4-inch stick that only has about maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches of media in it. So what you're paying for is not what it looks like you're paying for. That's one of the bigger issues that I have with them. Now, no one jump on me for this. Nothing that I'm saying is untrue. It's all 100% fact, okay? So, and no matter how much we like a product, we can't change the facts about it. And the fact of it is, this is presented as a 4-inch barrel, but you only get about half of that as actual media. The rest of it is just hollow barrel. I think that is important to note when we start talking about price. Second of all, this is a kid's product. It is targeted towards kids. It is a crossover between a watercolor pencil and a crayon, as you can see. Now, it is actually very nicely produced, right? It's a pretty handsome looking barrel. Everything is very legible and readable on it. I said it's a kid's product, but artists, professional artists, and hobbyists have been going crazy over these things, which is why I decided to order them to review. As you can see, you have a very big lid. The drawback to that is it's a specialized lid that will not fit into most pencil sharpeners. You have to use their pencil sharpener in order to sharpen these. Now you're going to get one pencil sharpener included in this kit, or you can buy the pencil sharpener separate. And I think separately the pencil sharpener alone is like $6-7. But here you can see them swatched out, beautiful colors. Unlike those professional watercolor pencils we looked at, you can see here that you do get some of the residue of the pencil from where you put it down left on the paper. So not as clean, but they dissolve really well in water. And they are super creamy and soft. That's one of the reasons I put them on the list. Because they dissolve super well and they're super creamy and soft. They are a pretty nice product. I just don't like some of those drawbacks that I spoke about. You're gonna get a brush in this set, so you will get everything that you need to get going straight out of the box. Don't lose that pencil sharpener because it's gonna run you about $6 a pop to replace it. Now, this would be a great gift, and it's unfortunately gonna fall into like, let me think of whether this is a luxury item, because this particular set is $42.32. I will remind you, you can see from the packaging that this is a kid's product. Okay, only half of the media in the whole barrel. Specialized pencil sharpener. On the opposite side, super creamy leads. Really thick, blend really well. The colors mix together really well, just like a watercolor paint. They're really creamy, so you can blend them together into a different color on the paper before adding water. They are an absolute dream to work with. They really are. So you have to weigh the pros versus the cons in order to decide whether or not $42.32 will be worth it. But those are definitely on my recommendation list to say that if you decided to buy them, you would not be going wrong, and I do not think that you would be disappointed. All right, friends, let's move on to gouache. First up, we are going to be looking at Shinhan. This is Shinhan Professional Designers Gouache. This is a 12 tube set. Now, these are just 12 colors in a complete range of gouache, so you can get bigger sets. Each of these tubes are 15 milliliters each, so you are getting a lot of gouache. A nice big screw-off cap to make it easy to hold. The consistency of all the gouache was really good inside the tubes, and it panned up really well for a gouache. Now, I will admit that this is a gouache palette, so it does have air proofing on the lid. And you still got a little cracking from some of the colors. But these have been in here a really long time. Months. It's at least 6 months. Maybe longer. So they dry down really well for them to be a designer gouache versus an artist gouache. And they're super bright and vibrant. And they're pretty opaque. Even from the dried down state where you have to add a little bit more water to them than you would be adding if you use them directly from the tube, I still found them to be rather opaque. And this is probably my favorite gouache set at the moment. Although I have many other gouache brands, I really enjoy using this one. And I do like the fact that, you know, in the proper palette, you can travel with this gouache and use it on the go. I really like this set now. This particular gouache is going to run about $38.43 for 12 tubes of 15 milliliter gouache. That's a lot of paint for $38, especially for it to be a lot of good quality opaque gouache. You got a really nice opaque white. You got a really creamy opaque black. All of the other colors are opaque in their own way. Yellow a little bit more transparent than the rest of them, but I find that in a lot of sets. So definitely at like the top of my recommendation list. I do not think that you can go wrong with these. And if someone was to ask me what would be my #1 recommended gouache set as of right now, it would be the Shinhan Designer Gouache. So I don't think you can go wrong with those at all. Next up is another professional gouache that is actually super good. I just recently tried these and reviewed these, and they are an absolute dream to work with. I was so pleasantly surprised. This is the Uptrek Gouache. Now, I have 2 different sets that I was lucky enough to be gifted. The first one was a 6-color introductory set, and the second was an 8-color mixing set. And I just put both of those sets inside this airtight palette. As you can see, they dry down actually a little bit better than the Shinhan, much less cracking. They still pull away from the side, as does most gouache, when you pan it up to dry it down, but there's no cracking in the actual paint. So this one would be even better for travel purposes, especially if you were going to be putting it in a regular palette versus a palette built to hold gouache. So yeah, wonderful product. Both the mixing set and the introductory set both had really cool colors. Now inside the introductory set, you're going to get all of your primaries, a black and a white. So you get a primary red, yellow, and blue, a convenience medium green, and then a black or a white. In your mixing set, you're going to get a black and a white. So if you got both of these sets, you would have duplicates of those colors. And then you are going to get a split primary, where you're going to get a warm and a cool yellow, warm and a cool red, warm and a cool blue. So very user-friendly gouache. Very surprising at how bright and opaque they were. There was not a huge shift from wet to dry. I was super impressed with this paint. So much so that, you know, I would say that I like them just as much as I like Shinhan. And I do believe it's an exclusive on Blick, I believe it is. But you can find the 8-color mixing set on Amazon, which will be the one listed in the video description. Now, this gouache on average runs about $52. But I will be honest, although it's higher than the Shinhan, I do think it's worth it. I do think you're getting a lot of gouache, and you're getting a lot of high quality, opaque, bright gouache. And it dries down super well, so there's that to consider as well. So definitely on my recommendation list. I don't think that you would be going wrong if you decided to get that for yourself or gift it to someone else. Last up on the gouache list is going to be a company making its second appearance. And we're going to be talking Artwell again. But we're going to be kind of talking a lot of Artwell here. So first we're going to look at their original set of gouache. Now this is a 42 count, 50 milliliter jelly gouache set. The unique thing about Artwell's jelly gouache, unlike any other one I've seen on the market, is that their jelly gouache comes with lids. And each lid has the color number and name printed on the lid for references. And they also give you swatches, digital swatches, but nonetheless, they give them to you to put on top of each of the lids. Outside of having individual lids, the top itself is constructed to be airproof. So all of this in combination is going to help keep your jelly gouache much more pliable than the average jelly gouache set. Then you add to the fact that unlike most jelly gouache sets, you're actually getting 50 milliliters of paint per cup. That's a lot of paint. There's 42 of these things. Now, this is their very first release set where you're going to get a primary basic set of colors, you know. You're going to get 42 colors from their regular gouache line, including titanium white. That's their original 42 count set. Now, this set, along with the next one that I'm about to show you, runs about $54, $53.99 to be exact. So, and they're both in about the same range. But I believe that due to the quality, because it's really opaque, it's really creamy, it blends out really well, it activates well if any of it should dry down. Because I actually have it, I dip mine out of the cups and put it onto a palette and just paint from the palette like that. And these little dots of gouache have been on here for a couple of weeks and they hold up really well. And I just grab this and paint from it whenever I want to paint with the Artwell gouache, or I'll plop another color on here that I want to paint with. But very good gouache. This is my go-to student grade gouache. And if you were to ask me for a recommendation of student grade gouache versus professional, Artwell is what I would recommend. Now, not too long after they released their original 42 count set, they came out with a second, but this one was a little different because it included 24 metallic colors. This is a more recent one I've tried, and again, it gave me the same exact quality in the gouache, which lets me know that they did use the same factory in order to produce this set. So here again, you are going to get 42 50 milliliter jelly gouache cups filled to capacity with their own lid, the color name and number listed on the lid, along with swatches to go with it, and the same airtight constructed top to help, along with the lids, keep the paint pliable for as long as possible. Now, will the gouache eventually dry out? Of course it will, but some of these aren't even open. Now, let me say about this set. Again, the big difference between this one and the first one is that 24, so half of these colors are going to be metallic colors. There are 18, wait a minute, I'm doing it wrong. 42 colors. I want to say 24 of the 42 are metallic. Of the remaining core colors, 9 of them crossed over from the first palette. So outside of 9 colors, everything else in here would be a new color from the first 42 count set. I think I described that right. Here again, you're going to be paying about $53.99, $54 if you decided to go with this set versus the first one. Now, my honest opinion is the quality of the gouache across the two sets is exactly the same. What you are going to be making the decision between is whether or not you want the 24 metallic colors or whether or not you want 42 complete regular colors of gouache from the first set. Also keep in mind that 7 of the colors from the first set cross over to the second set. 7 or is it 9? It's one of those crosses over to the second set. So you will still have your primaries here. The only thing about this particular set that kind of threw me is that it does not contain a regular gouache white. It contains a metallic white, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it contains a metallic white and then a pearl white, which is sort of an off-white. It's not exactly like titanium. The titanium white only comes in the first set. Again, this set is going to run about 54 bucks. Now, if for some reason you decided that you did not want to get the bigger sets, don't worry, because Artwell now offers smaller sets. They have a 9-color 50 milliliter gouache set that still comes with the cups, or you can purchase the gouache open stock in individual cups, 2 colors to a box. Here I have deep yellow, so in here you would get 2 deep yellow 50 milliliter containers with the lid. This is also a good way if you decided to get the 42 set with the metallic colors, the second release. If you wanted to get titanium white, you could just buy it open stock and get 100 milliliters of white gouache, and these are really super economical. So without a doubt, you would be able to get these. These were, let me check my list right quick, $7.99 a piece. These were $7.99 a piece. Like I said, you can get the white open stock, or you can get the 9-piece set that I was talking about, be it 9-piece mixed with metallics and regular colors. You can get a 9-piece regular color, or you can get a 9-piece metallic color. Keeping in mind, they're all 50 milliliter cups with lids, and they run about $17.99 a set. So a really wide range of ways to buy this jelly gouache. And it's one of the most unique ones on the market because it's going to be the only one that's going to give you the individual lids. It's going to be great quality gouache, and it's not going to break the bank. Because when you look at it, even for those bigger sets, for that much paint, $54 is not a lot of money, especially not for that much good quality paint. But I do understand that everybody's pockets are different, which is why I wanted to tell you about the smaller sets and even the individual cups that you can purchase. So that's going to wrap up the gouache section. Let's move on to color pencils. Now, my recommendation in the color pencil category is probably going to shock you. These are not going to be super expensive sets. They might not even be considered light fast sets. But these are some really good set of budget economical pencils that I think work really well, and I am a lover of soft pencils. So these are going to be soft pencil lids that are very super pigmented with the sets I'm going to recommend. First up, I no longer have the box, but this is the Faber-Castell Black Edition color pencil. Comes in a box. It's a black pencil with a color chip on the end and beautiful lids that sharpen well, do not break easily. They're not super scratchy, although they do have a bit of a scratchy sound, and they sharpen pretty evenly for the most part, with all of the pencils that you try to sharpen, which lets you know that the lid is pretty centered. There is no light fast information for these, and I would definitely consider these an artist grade pencil. But when you compare them to other artist grade pencils on the market, you recognize that they're made by a really reputable company, Faber-Castell, going to be a good pencil maker. The lids are really pigmented. They're really bright and vibrant. They lay down well. They layer pretty well. You can get a couple of layers on with them. They work really well in mixed media projects where you're layering them on top of other products like, say, your gouache or your watercolors. And you're going to get 50 in the set for $17.51. After the 50 count set, they eventually released a 100 count pencil set, and the 100 count pencil set is currently $68.39. So I repeat, you can get the 50 pencil box for $17.51, or you can jump up to the 100 set for $68.39. Now, I don't know why there was such a price difference in those, considering the fact that it's only 50 more pencils. So I was assuming it was going to be in the $40 range. Not unless I wrote that down wrong. I might need to check. So yes, let me clarify. The 50 count set in the box, the one that I purchased and the pencil that I just showed you, was $17.51. The 100 count set in the box is $55.80. The 100 count set in the classic 10 is $68.39. So I guess you're paying the extra money there for the fact that it comes in a 10 versus the box. I know Koh-i-Noor does the same thing with a lot of their products. But nevertheless, the 50 count set in the box at $17.51, I believe is an absolute amazing buy. And actually the 100 count set at the $55 is not a bad buy either, not considering the quality of those pencils for them to be budget grade. Let's move on. Next up, again, not something that you would probably expect, is going to be the Posca color pencil. Yes, you heard me right. This is Posca, the famous Mitsubishi Uniball company that creates the Posca brand of acrylic markers that everyone loves so much. Well, they also produce a color pencil, and they produce a wax pastel, which I have yet to buy and try, but after trying these pencils, I'm definitely going to be buying those white wax pastels, because these pencils were absolutely amazing, man. These pencils blew my mind with how pigmented and bright they were, how well they layered, and I do mean 5 or 6 layers before I started to feel any resistance in the tooth, as long as I was using moderate pressure. They sharpened really well. There was absolutely no breakage of any lid that I can remember, and I did several projects, standalone as well as mixed media, with these. No light fast information are provided with these, so I wouldn't, necessarily assume that they were light fast pencil, but nonetheless, they are a super fun product that you can do many projects with. And even if they're not light fast, as long as you don't hang what you're doing directly in sunlight, then it should last for a really long time. This particular set by Posca is on the market for $26.99. And I've seen some other reviews, and it seems that everybody who has used this pencil has been pretty impressed with it. When you think about the category that they go up against, for them to be $27 and to perform at, man, I almost want to say a professional level. The only thing is I can't label them professional because, as far as I know, there is no light fast information. But high on my color pencil recommendation list at $26.99. All right, last but not least on this particular list, we are going to be looking at the Derwent ChromaFlow pencil. Yeah, you knew that there would be a professional level pencil, even if it was entry professional level. So this is the Derwent ChromaFlow pencil, and this is one of the pencils that I've been more impressed with based on the price. Now, we all know that Derwent is a wonderful pencil manufacturer. They are known for the quality and the time that they put into making their pencils. This set is not too old. They released these, it hadn't been too long ago. As you can see, I've got a sketching pencil in there, an eraser, a sharpener, a fine liner, because this is the set I grab when I want to take some color pencils on the go with me, and I'm just going to do some sketching with just color pencils. or do some coloring book work, which I've started to do, or what have you. So these are some really nice pencils. They're made from what seems to be a really good standard quality wood. They're light, they're not heavy, they are round, prone to rolling, but they sharpen really well. They didn't have a lot of scratch. I didn't experience a lot of breakage with these pencils. They lay down color really well. They layer several different layers, and they're rather soft. As I said, all of the pencils that I have shown you are really soft. I do have some harder lead pencils that I use. They just didn't make this particular list. Maybe they'll make another one. But in this case, ChromaFlow is definitely where I wanted to go based on quality and based on price. Now, this is a 24 count set of pencils, which runs $27.50. You can also get them in a bigger count, 72, which I think is the complete range of ChromaFlow pencils, for $77.50. Now, when you look at how many pencils you're getting and I think about the quality, if you decided to go with the 72 count at 77 books, I don't think that's a bad buy. And that's actually on the lower range of Derwent's purchase scale when you're talking about getting a full range of one of their particular products. But this particular set has done me very well without having a full range. It runs about $27.50, and if I ever use these up, I would repurchase these. And this is something that I definitely recommend as far as an entry-level professional pencil. I do believe that you can source light-fast information for these pencils on Derwent website, like you can do most of their products, if I'm not mistaken. So that, my friends, wraps up the color pencil category. We're going to move on to oil pastels. Now, there are only two products in this category, one artist grade, one professional grade. So first up, we are looking at the Montmartre Premium Extra Soft Oil Pastel Vibrant Hues. 120 piece count of oil pastels, and friends, let me tell you, these things are so creamy and soft. Now, Montmartre, much like Artwell, is a company that white labels their products. So whatever factory they're working with in order to produce these pastels, they are absolutely amazing. And let me tell you, blend together so well. The colors are really bright and vibrant. You get so many of them, 120 colors. So you're not missing anything. There's no gap in colors. There's no huge jump in range from one color family to another. Listen, I was so impressed. They come in individual trays that are then put in their own individual boxes. Now, no, it's not a luxury packed item, but again, it is a budget grade product that you're getting 120 super creamy soft pastels for the great old price of $31.44. Yes, you heard me right. All those colors, all those gorgeous, creamy, soft, super blendable colors for $31.44. Now, I do want you to pay attention to the fact that this is their premium line, not the signature line. They have another line that is a lower quality, lower grade than premium that is known as signature. Now, I have not tried those particular pastels. I have no idea if they are as soft and as creamy as this particular set is. But I did notice that unlike a lot of other, they literally classify these as extra soft. And boy, when I tell you, they really live up to that. They are truly extra soft. So I think these are a wonderful buy for $31.44. They're at the top of my recommendation list when it comes to artist grade student soft oil pastels. And last in this category is a product that I am recently trying, and I have not even done a product review for these yet, but they have impressed me so much since I've been using them that they had to make this recommendation list. And that is the Paul Rubens 48 count of oil pastels. Now, this is a professional line of oil pastels, and they are so creamy. They are just as soft and blendable and pliable and beautiful as those Montmartre, except for they're on a much different scale and level. Now, there are Paul Rubens pastels. You can get the pigment information for their pastels, I know, on their site. And there are some sets, I think depending on whether it's the newly packaged set or the old set, you'll actually get pigment numbers on the actual pastels. Now, I did look for pigment numbers on this particular pastel or on this particular set. And unless it's listed in Chinese, which it very well could be because a lot of the writing on this is in Chinese, I don't see the pigment number per se, but I do know that this line of pastels come with pigment information and pigment information definitely that you can find. Now, I'm not going to put the top back on here because I'm currently using these pastels for illustrations that I'm working on. With that being said, as far as professional pastels go that fall into a very economical range, you can get this 48 set of pastels for 26 bucks. And here's the thing. This is a set of pastels that you're going to be using to layer on top of your harder pastels. Because if you try to use these to paint like complete paintings with, you're going to get into Slickville. It's going to be oily because they are super creamy and super soft. Now, I have painted standalone illustrations with them without using another pastel. But I'll be honest, I did struggle because they are so soft and they blend so well that I eat up the tooth of the paper super quick. So definitely keep in mind that this is going to be one of the softest and most blendable, budget-friendly pastels out there. So friends, that is the Paul Rubens 48 count of oil pastels, currently running $26 for that amazing product. And it's definitely at the top of my recommendation list when it comes to professional line of oil pastels. All right, that pretty much wraps up all of the main products. I have two other things that I'm going to show you that could probably go for stocking stuffers, and then we're going to call this video a night. So here we have the Transon 12-piece watercolor, acrylic, gouache, oil, or tempera painting brushes. Now, this is a synthetic line of brushes. It is what you would, your nylon bristles. These are some wonderful economical brushes. Now, like I said, these are going to hold less water than your synthetic squirrel or your synthetic sable, your synthetic camel. These are going to be on the synthetic. These are going to be on the more nylon, golden Teclon, white hair brush side of things. But they are amazing. For them to be on that side, they actually hold a little bit more water than you might expect. They come to really nice points as far as the rounds are concerned. I've had no bristle freeing at all. The barrels were in great condition. There's no damage to the lacquer, no misprinting of the words. All of the ferrules are on loop, really tight. Nothing is loose. There was no chip in the finishing on the ferrules. And I've been using these brushes for about 2, maybe 3 months now. And I have been thoroughly impressed. I find myself reaching for one of these brushes all the time. And you can get this 12-piece set for $12.99, which is an amazing price for the quality that I think these brushes are. Again, that's the Transon art brushes. Really good brushes. I really recommend these, especially for a beginner, a newbie, somebody that is trying to practice water control and learn to control their water levels with gouache or watercolors. And they're also really good for watercolor crayons and watercolor pencils, because those harder bristles are going to help push that pigment around and help dissolve it and get it into that watercolor wash that you're looking for when you're working with pencils and crayons and even water soluble oil pastels. So for $12.99, this was an amazing find, and depending on how big the stocking is, these will definitely fit by the chimney with care. All right, last up on the list, my friends, I don't know if this will actually fit in somebody's stocking, but the mini version will. And I'm speaking of the Etcher Lab sketchbook. Now, mine is a little dingy. It's meant for you to paint the outside of the sketchbook. I never did, but whatever. Let's talk about the quality of the paper on the inside. This is some of the most amazing paper I have ever worked on. It's 100% cotton, right? It has a really nice tooth to it. It's not too toothy. It's not too smooth. I think this is actually classified as a mixed media book on Amazon. But I was able to achieve some of the best paintings. These are some of my paintings from World Watercolor Month of 25. Just gorgeous. It holds the saturation of the paints so well. I was able to do all of my techniques from the credit card scraping to scraping with the back of an aquarelle brush. I was able to do mixed media where I was using water soluble products, color pencils. It just took so well to doing so many different things. I was thoroughly impressed with this book. Here I used water soluble fountain pens. I was able to use so many different products. That's water soluble marker. So that's like watercolor markers. And most of this is paint in or gouache. That's what most of this is. But just look at the vibrancy, the color it holds. You can find a lot of these as tutorials that I did as tutorials on the channel too, if you want to go back and check them out. But yeah, I don't know. Just in my opinion, it's an amazing paper that you can't go wrong with. Now, someone told me that they believed Etcher paper is white labeled by Fabriano. And I don't know that to be sure, but I have, since trying this paper, tried some of Fabriano's papers. And I would have to say that I would agree that the qualities are super similar between the two, especially Fabriano's 100% cotton mixed media paper. Now, this particular book, if you buy it through Etcher, is like $45.17. So Etcher products are on the pricier side of the budget realm, but I think they're worth it. I've liked everything that I've ever gotten from Etcher. Even their 24 half pan watercolors, which is not on this recommendation list, which I believe is white labeled by Superior, so you might as well buy the Artwell 24 half pan, which is on this recommendation list because you're getting the exact same quality paints, I do believe. But this is a nice find and a nice buy, and I also like their logo on it. I really do. Now, I said that one wouldn't fit inside a stocking, but maybe this one would. This is just a miniature version of that particular book. Well, this is cold pressed, so I think this one is cold pressed cotton, 100% cotton paper versus that bigger one being a mixed media paper, I believe. But nonetheless, either or, great papers, wonderful, streamlined, straightforward company. And they don't cost much at all. That particular sketchbook costs $29.99. Now, Etcher actually classifies these as mixed media sketchbook for drawing and painting. Cold pressed texture, 100% cotton sketch watercolor paper. So the listing actually has it listed as both watercolor and mixed media. But as you can see from the paintings that I did in the bigger one, you can use watercolor gouache or mixed media on it with absolutely no problems. So yeah, friends, that's definitely my recommendation. The bigger one, $45.17. The smaller one, $29.99. I think they would make wonderful gifts for any artist or for yourself. So there you have it, friends. That was hopefully not too long for you, but that is all of my recommendations for the 25 holiday gift giving season. Hopefully you saw something that you like that you might want to pick up for yourself, or you saw something you like that you might want to pick up for a loved one or a social friend. If you did, don't forget to sprinkle a little love on this video. Give this video a thumbs up. Hopefully you guys saw something that piqued your interest. Do keep in mind that you can drop any questions you have in the comment section about anything that you saw tonight. I'll be happy to answer as soon as I humanly can. That way you can make a decision if you're waiting on an answer for a decision. Or maybe you want to just, drop your comment about your use of one of the products that you saw in tonight's video. If you're new or returning, go ahead, hit that subscription button if you haven't done it already, and that notification bell so you know when we go live and when we upload. Lives are every Monday morning at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, and pre-recorded releases during the month of December anyway are going to be happening every Wednesday at 10 a.m., which is our normal day, and then Fridays at 10 a.m. whenever we need to, as far as reviewing or putting out an extra video, which during the month of December this year, we're going to kind of be video heavy because we have a lot of advent calendars and new products. Yes, we do. So friends, the video description is going to have all of the relevant links. It's going to have the link for all of the products that you saw in tonight's video so that you can source them. And they're going to all be listed in order by category, in the order that I went in, hopefully, if I put it that way, so that it'll be very easy for you to source. You can find all the social links, the link to the Fine Art website, the link to Patreon if you want to check out the Creation Station where we do all types of wonderful things, the link to Palm Street in case you want to participate in the once a month sales and paint-alongs that happen over there. All right, friends, thank you so much. Go out and enjoy the rest of your week. And remember, as I tell you at the end of every single video, friends, just keep creating.